bringing out our A game because we want this freaking job. We want the money. I can't believe I'm sharing this. Guys, this is crazy. This is really good. Welcome to my Psych Nurse channel. In this video, we're going to talk about the Psych Nurse interview, and I'm going to share with you some tips for the interview as well as some questions I was asked during my interview as a brand new RN who had recently graduated from nursing school 2 months prior to my interview. And I'll also share with you some questions I was asked as a more experienced mental health nurse. Now, hold up. I know this video might be a little long, so I promise there's some incredibly good information in here. And here's the deal. You already know this. There's a lot on the line when you go into the interview. You might be landing a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year job. And what we're going to cover in this video is going to exponentially increase your chances at landing that job. And honestly, even if you're not going into psych nursing, you can transfer what we're covering in this video to any position because the information we're covering here is that powerful. I'm super excited for this video. Also, the questions I'm going to be sharing with you are going to be questions that I thought were either unique or relevant to the interview. So I'll be leaving questions out like common questions like, hey, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Or, hey, tell me why you want to be a psych nurse, because I think those questions are fairly predictable and they're just common throughout most interviews. But if you're interested in seeing in terms of how I answer those kind of questions, leave me a comment below and I'm happy to make that video. All right, before we get into our tips and questions, this is maybe the most important part of the video, but let me provide to you the proper mindset you should adopt going into any interview. And hopefully this will alleviate any anxiety you may have about the interview or the interview process, because let's be real, folks, interviews can be pretty damn stressful. I've had some governmental interviews before where I was interviewed. I'm not joking here. I was interviewed by 7 people at once. We were all sitting around a round table. So trust me when I say I know what it feels like to have an intimidating interview. So I'm going to share with you, this tip here is what I use personally. This is what helps me. Hopefully it helps you. All right. So here's what we're going to do to alleviate some of that pressure. We're going to pretend, we have to use our imagination here. We're going to pretend we have 5 interviews total. We've already had 3 of them. They went exceptionally well. They went really well. And we subsequently have 3 job offers under our belt because of those interviews. And we're going into this particular interview, and this may be the only interview we really have, but remember, I'm having a hard time talking, but remember, we're pretending here. So we're going into this interview because we want to see if this company or this hospital or this position can hold up. That's my wife flushing the toilet upstairs. We want to see if this company can hold up against any of the offers or some of the offers that we already have. All right. So we're going into this interview with the mindset of, okay, we're going to make a mental note about how this company compares to everyone else. And then we'll take a look at all of our offers and then we're going to make a decision. That's when we'll make our decision. Right. So this is the mindset. This is the mindset we need to have going into the interview, because it shows on a subconscious level that we are someone with options and we're coming from a background of plenty. And it's this company, this hospital, whoever, right? It's this company that needs us, and it's this company that has to show us that they are the ones who are worthy of our expertise, our personality, and whatever it is that we, as the unique individuals that we are bringing to the table. All right. So that's the mindset. That's the mindset we're going to adopt. So if you're feeling anxious, remember, you've already got 3 offers under your belt. You have 2 more interviews, and then you get to pick which offer is the best for you. Ladies and gents, if you're finding this video helpful, or if you're thinking about becoming a psych nurse, help a brother out and like this video for the YouTube algorithm. I'm really trying to grow this channel and I want to reach as many people as possible. If you want to be the first person to watch my next video, hit that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notification. All right, let's get to our tips and our questions. These are going to be awesome. I think you guys are really going to like these. So here is tip number 1. Own your honesty. If the interviewers ask you a question and you don't know the answer, or it's one of your weaknesses, that's okay. What interviewers want, especially those working in psych, and these are people who are really good at reading people, right? But what people want in an interview is they want someone They want someone they feel they can trust. They want someone they feel like they can work with, and someone they feel who is going to be honest with them. I know if I was hiring someone, I'd rather hire someone who I know I can work with, who's honest and who has a good personality, than someone who has maybe a lot of expertise, might come off as slightly dishonest, but is kind of a stick in the mud when it comes to their personality. And for those of us with a lot of work experience, you know how important it is to work with good coworkers. So in the back of our minds, as we interview people, we're always wondering, hey, is this someone I myself could work with? If the answer is yes, to that question, then we know we have a very good chance of being hired. All right, here's our first question, and this is a question I was asked during my psych interview, and here's how I answered it. Tell me about your knowledge of psychiatric medication. What's your knowledge of psychiatric medication? When I was asked this question, I was straight out of nursing school. I had very limited knowledge of psychiatric meds. So here's what I said. I said, I'm not very knowledgeable whatsoever about psychiatric medication. During my nursing school, I had limited exposure to it. And although we did cover general classes of psych meds, it's one of those areas I'm certainly looking to improve upon. And I'm hoping that that information will come over time as I become familiar with the position as a psych nurse. My medical meds, I would say, are decent. And when I graduated psych nursing, my medical meds were pretty decent. I would say probably like slightly above average. But my psych meds certainly need some improvement. So that's how I answered that question. After I gave them that answer, they were very reassuring, and they told me, they said, it's not a problem that you're not that good with psych meds. And the good news is that with psych meds, there's maybe a good 20 meds that are pretty common to our prescribers here. And once you know them, and you'll learn them rather quickly. So they were very reassuring, and it was pretty cool. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, the people interviewing you are most likely nurses themselves, and they have at one point or another been exactly where you have been, right? They've been that nurse that had no experience and was trying to land their first job. So realize they're going to be empathetic towards your position. So here's my first tip. Try and remember, or maybe this is my second tip. I can't remember where we're at, but here's my first tip. And this tip is huge, you guys. It's huge. Try and remember the names of the people who are interviewing you. Make a mental note of what their names are. And when they ask you a question, use their name when you answer their question. So let's say, my hands are freezing right now. It's so cold in my basement. Let's say one of the interviewers' names is Jill, and she asked us a question. Jill, right? So generic. So it's the best name I can come up with, Jill, right? How would you handle, she's going to ask us this question, how would you handle an angry client? We might say something like, so Jill, if a client appeared angry to me, the first thing I would do is validate their feelings by saying, Mark, or whatever the client's name is, I can see you're really upset. Tell me what's going on. And that's how you're going to answer. Just make sure you're using their names. Guys, I promise you, this is a golden tip. If you use this and 3 or 4 people are interviewing you and you mention their name when they ask you a question, trust me on this. They are going to be impressed. I've done this in so many interviews, and I've done it in front of a panel of interviewers. And I can tell you, they are astounded by this technique. Most interviewees, people who are being interviewed, are so anxious. They often forget the names of the people interviewing them. And this is people maybe they've met a few times or they've talked to a few times on email or whatever, but they're so anxious they forget their names. And so try and name drop every chance you get. You'll most likely be corresponding with your interviewers via emails prior to the interview. So this gives you a really good chance. Sorry, I got like a scratch on my nose that won't go away. This gives you a really good chance to remember their name because you'll be talking with them via email. Excuse me. And then now there's something like in my throat and I don't have any water. So here's another question I was asked during my interview. What would you do if a client became angry in the day hall? So most psych places have a day hall. It's like where all the patients will convene, watch TV, whatever, right? So that's the day hall, or the milieu, or the patient's main environment, or whatever, right? So that's just the way they call it. Usually it's called a day hall. So here's my answer. The first thing I would do if a client became angry in the day hall is I would clear the day hall. So I'd tell everyone to go back to their rooms, and then I'd make sure I had other staff near me. And then I'd address the client's anger by validating his or her emotion and asking the client what the client needs in that moment, and then playing it by ear from there. So this is hands down the best way to answer this question. It's a pretty common question in psych interviews. And I like our answer here because we're first prioritizing safety by asking everyone to go to their rooms. And then we're isolating the dangerous client, the potentially dangerous client. They're angry. Maybe if they're super upset, they might become dangerous, right? So we're isolating them, which helps protect the safe environment. And then, but not only that, we're not disregarding their anger or their emotion. We're addressing the client's anger by validating their emotion and seeing what we can do to help. All right. So here's I think we're at tip number 3. Maybe it's tip number 4. I don't know. Here's tip number 3. Know a little bit about the place you're going to work. Who do they serve? What demographic is most common? How many beds do they have, etc. Knowing just some basic information. I'm not saying like spend your whole freaking afternoon on the company's website or anything like that, or going into great detail, but know a little bit about the place you're going to be working. But knowing this information is very important because it's going to help you answer the question of, tell me about what you know about this hospital. So many places ask that anyway, right? But more importantly, here's something more important about that. You can also tie in the information you know about the hospital or whatever company you're going to be working for into your responses. So for instance, say you're going to be working at a hospital and it's in a busy city. In one of your answers, you might say something like, well, Jill, I'm glad you asked how I manage my time. And I know it's especially important in a hospital like this, where we're super busy and we're getting patients in and out on the same day. So here's how I manage my time while at work, something like that. So basically you're tying in whatever is in like the job qualifications or whatever you know about the job into the question that they are asking you. This really gives the interviewers the idea that you are familiar with the position and the hospital, and shows you care enough about the position to have done your own research on your own time. All right, so here's question number 3. And this one, all right, this one I think happened during my very first interview, and this one definitely caught me completely off guard, but I'll show you how I answered it. So they asked me the question. This is what they asked. And they asked me, how do you handle gossip at work? This question in retrospect was actually a really great question because after working in psych for a while now, I can tell you gossip inside a psych hospital is rampant. And it reminds me of being back in middle school. So I actually had to think about this answer. So I told the interviewer, we'll just say her name was Jill. I said, Jill, that's a great question. Give me a second while I think about it. After 10 seconds or so, and by the way, pausing in an interview like this and telling the people you need some time to think, super powerful, very powerful. So here's how I answered the question. Oh boy, and I think I hear my toddler might be coming down the stairs, so we'll see if we'll make it through this video or not. But so here's how I answered this question. I said, to some degree, I think everyone gossips and it's human nature. At the same time, gossip can lead to a place where people don't want to work, and no one wants to come to work worrying about what other people are saying about them. It really takes away from us being able to focus on the patient and whatever needs they may have. So if someone gossips to me and I feel like it is especially escalating, I usually will either change the subject, or I might say something like, hey, I know this is how you feel about so-and-so, and I may or may not share those same feelings, but I've worked in environments where gossip has gotten way out of control, so I'd prefer to talk something else. I appreciate you sharing with me your opinion and confiding in me. It's just, I don't want gossip to be crazy, so I'd prefer to talk about something else. So what did we do here? When we answer this question, we normalize gossip, right? If you've worked in a job, you've spoken to enough people, I'd say like 99% of people gossip to some degree, right? So we're giving an honest answer here. And whether that 99% of people, in my opinion, will gossip, whether it's malicious or benevolent, right? And so we also addressed in our answer, in a professional manner, how we would handle the gossip if we thought it was unprofessional or getting out of hand. All right, guys, I have so much more to share with you. And at the same time, I want to keep this video under a certain time length. If this video gets 50 likes, I'll make a follow-up video just like this one with some more great tips and questions. And right now, I want to share with you one final nugget. Guys, this is probably, I'm going to be honest, this is like my golden nugget. And I'm especially proud of it. And it's so important because it really shows the interviewer you want to fulfill the position of their dream candidate. Every interviewer has in the back of his or her mind the ideal candidate, I promise you. So here's here's how we're going to frame this. Is, oh my God, this is so important. I can't believe I'm sharing this, guys. This is crazy. This is really good. So here's how we're going to frame this. All right. So at the end of the interview, your interviewers are going to ask you what questions you have for them. And this is by far the single most important question you can ask of any interviewer, while at the same time looking like a complete freaking boss. You guys are going to love this question. All right, you ready for it? So here's what we're going to do. This is us bringing out our A game, all right? We're bringing out our A game because we want this freaking job. We want the money. I burp. Yeah, nice burp, bro. Burp comes right in, right as I'm about to go on my diatribe about why this is so important. But this is a freaking amazing question, right? So this is what we're going to tell them when they ask us if we have any more questions. I'm so tired right now, you guys. Hopefully it doesn't look like I'm about to fall asleep, but I feel like it. So this is what we're going to say. So, hey, do you have any more questions, Bob? So you're going to say, I know you're looking for someone who does X, Y, and Z. And when we say X, Y, and Z, what we're doing here is we're reading the job description, right? You've read your job description. You're somewhat familiar with it. You're going to pick out those key terms, and that's what you're going to put in there for X, Y, and Z, right? So maybe it's someone who's, maybe in their job description, they're looking for someone who's good at time management or someone with people skills or whatever, right? So you're going to say, and it's really important when you do this, you got to use the same verbiage that they wrote in their job description. So then you say something like, I know you're looking for someone who's good at X, Y, and Z. But if I were to ask you, Jill, and what I do is I pick out like kind of either the person you're feeling the most connection with or the person who is kind of like appears to you to be the head honcho. Maybe it's the CEO, maybe it's the hiring director, maybe it's HR, maybe it's going to be your supervisor, whoever it is. And then you're going to say, Jill, what I want to know is what to you, we've gone through the job description, we've talked about this, but what to you is your ideal candidate? Who are you personally really looking for in this position? What would you say? Who is that person? Guys, oh my God, if you've asked this question and you've done it with the correct tone, like you've shown sincerity in your voice and you're really like, dude, I want to know who really is the person you're looking for. Your interviewers will be taken aback. I promise. Hit me up. You guys can be like, dude, I did this in my interview. Bam, it went so well. I want to know how this went. Like this is golden for me. This is my golden nugget. You ask someone this, they might, if you do it correctly, they might even be a little flustered, which is good. And this question is great. There goes the toilet again. Sorry, it's like the microphone's here and then the toilet pipes are right up there. But this question is great because it personalizes who they are looking for. And they will be so thankful you asked this question. And then all you have to do is validate whatever response they give you. So I'll usually nod my head when they're telling me like who they're looking for. And I'll just say, that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. And then I just make some really good eye contact and that's pretty much it. And then you can say something like, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to interview. I don't have any more questions at this time. If I think of some, I'll definitely reach out via email. Does anybody have any more questions of myself? And then, all right. This is me. This is kind of like, so you kind of have to work with your personality, right? But I'm kind of a little bit of a jokester. So at this time, what I'll do is I'll pick like one person who maybe looks like maybe they want to ask me something or whatever. It kind of just, you kind of have to read them at this point, but I'll pick one person in the panel and I'll kind of say with a smile and I'll like point, I'll be like, Mary, are you sure you don't have any more? Like, I'll be like, let me see if I can get the genuineness. I'll be like, Mary, you sure you don't have any more questions for me? And people will usually laugh because there's like this kind of awkward pause that everyone's doing, like waiting for someone else to ask a question. And then you can just kind of end the interview on that, just kind of thank everybody. And then boom, you are done. You do that, you guys, I swear you are going to blow them out of the water. All right. We did it. Thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. I really hope you walk away from this video feeling empowered. Oh boy, here comes. Okay, that's my toddler. He's coming. We got to finish, right? I hope you walk away feeling empowered. And I really do wish you the best in your interview. I hope it goes well, man. I really want to know how your interview went. So please leave a comment below. Like, tell me how your interview went. What would have made it better? What would have made it worse? Tell me. I want to know. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe. My voice is about to go out. Click the bell so you can be the first person to see, as I'm like messing up my words. Click the bell so you can be the first person to see my next video. And yeah, I'll see you on my next video. Peace.